Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's Mover with Gonky. Say hello, Gonky.
Hello, Gonky.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Today, in preparation for the Folds of Honor Fight for Honor 2020, which registration ends on Friday at 23:59 Zulu. I think that's right. Yeah. So that's like during the day for us Americans. Which we highly suggest you sign up because Folds of Honor, as Gonky's shirt is demonstrating, is a charity that we support. Should be a fun tournament. It supports a worthy cause. We're hoping to get max participation, and if you're not, then please consider just making a donation through the link foh.org/fightforhonor. Today we're going to talk about, I used to call it the any given Sunday theory, which is that any day, any aircraft can beat any other aircraft. It just depends on the pilot. And that's why we always say it depends when people ask us, well, what's better than the other? And one thing specifically we're going to talk about is in recent news, and by recent I mean around January, and then it kind of picked back up in March, and I've gotten a couple emails about this, is a recent, not so recent, F-22 versus Rafale fight in the UAE, where in 2009, Rafale got a guns track kill, and there was some drama surrounding it. So I'm going to read the article to Gonky, and then we're going to take a look at the fights themselves. Questions on that, Gonky?
Oh, it's 110% accurate.
Yeah.
I've been on both sides of it.
3, 2, 1, fight toss.
All right, so this was in National Interest by, I don't know if you've ever seen his articles, Gonky, David Axe. He writes a lot of stuff like this. And the title was, France showed that America's F-22 stealth fighter is not invincible. He even gives us a key point. The 2009 war game, so he's writing this in 2020. 11 years ago, a war game would not be the last to result in dead Raptors. Past evidence seems to confirm that a French fighter pilot once killed an American F-22 Raptor stealth fighter in mock combat. Although not unprecedented, the simulated shootdown is still a big deal for a couple reasons. Dude, he would, if he ever looked in our ready room, I mean, if this is newsworthy, we better not say much because CNN will be hanging out. So, yeah, he talks about the loss undermines the Pentagon's plan for air dominance. The French have totally unreserved reputation of non-military French circles of battlefield incompetence. Speaks volumes about the French air combat prowess 7 decades after Paris surrendered to Nazi Germany. Like, really? So a squad of Raptors went out from Langley to Al Dhafra in the UAE to train with the French Air Force Rafale fighters and Typhoons from the British Royal Air Force. American pilots insisted their planes had gone undefeated against the French. Why would you insist that? Like, just, why would you ever, I don't know. 5 other battles, simulated battles ended in draws, the Americans said. Pilots, an F-22 defeated by Mirage 2000. So it wasn't even a French guy. But then the French came out and posted a video, which we're about to watch. And the camera clearly shows the French plane maneuvering into a good position, launching an IR-guided Mica missile against the defending F-22. To be fair, though, it's unclear what the scenario was. Obviously, the Rafale's a decade older, but then they actually interviewed the squadron commander. So during the Raptors' first ever major exercise in 2006, an Air Force Viper, most likely dating from the 80s, managed to kill an F-22. Like, this made news, dude. I'm so glad when I was a Viper guy, you know, not every time I got killed didn't make the news. A Navy Growler jet designed to jam enemy radars repeated the feat in 2008 or 2009. No matter how magical the F-22, any pilot can make a mistake, says Lieutenant Colonel Dirk Smith, a Raptor squadron commander. Then, it would not be the last. In 2012, some German pilots did the same thing. They went and did BFM. We were evenly matched. They didn't expect us to turn so aggressively. But in a slow, close tangle, what pilots call a merge, the heavier F-22 is at a disadvantage. As soon as you get to the merge, the Typhoon doesn't necessarily have to fear the F-22, he says. But neither does the 30-year-old American F-16, a Navy jamming plane, or the 90s vintage Rafale flown by a Frenchman. The worrying implication, of course, is that Chinese, Russian, and other rival planes also need not worry about America's main jet fighter. So let's watch the video. All right, you ready? Here's the video. Here's the video. 40 seconds. Ready? Ready? Hack. Oh, look at that. Look at that Raptor. 400 knots. 5 Gs. Oh, watch the bubble. Even training rules. Oh, 400 knots. Look at that Raptor out there, just getting his butt kicked. Oh,
engage, bullseye 16458, tally 1 only.
Tally 1 only.
So what? Continue.
He's blind, no joy.
2's engaged. Carbon 2, kill
okay.
F-22 left hand turn.
Kill F-22. Dude, that's the end. Oh, wait. This says T-38 versus that. The T-38 did it. Oh, no. Well, let's go find the real video then. My bad. I thought we were watching. My bad. I messed that up, Gonky. I'm sorry.
I gotta say that HUD looks familiar.
So this is what the French actually put out in response to those capitalist pigs saying that they didn't get killed. It's a whole bunch of French, which we don't really care about.
Okay.
In the bonhommes. Jusqu'alors, tout allons. Oui, non, ça va. A lot of words here. It says the F-22s were dogfighting with external tanks. So I guess our PA came back and said, nah, we were using external tanks, so it doesn't count even if it's real. But then the French were like, nah, look at that. There's no tanks on that plane. He's in blower. He's full up. Look, high aspect, high heading crossing angle. Clermont, La Paris. Oh, that's what it looks like with tanks. They even show us what it should look like. All right, so here it is. I'm going to stop it as we go. Gonky, have you seen this?
Possibly.
Yeah, well, I'll stop it as we go because I don't want to watch it real time. We should break it down as it happens. All right, here we go. Here's the actual F-22 versus Rafale play.
Turn in fight zone.
Okay, he says turn in fights on. First thing that tells me this is a BFM set, right? Some kind of either butterfly set where you're line abreast at 1.5 miles or so. You take a cutaway or check away in Air Force speak. You get to 3 miles, and then the flight lead calls turn in fights on, which is a cooperative thing. Or it could be in a beam set. Based on that, there's really no way. Usually in a beam set, it's a 3-2-1 fights on. That's the only difference that I know. I mean, do you ever call turn in fights on a beam set?
Yeah, if you're low on gas in a hurry.
Yeah,
but,
just to make it happen. But
yeah.
All right, so let's take a look real quick, just so we're all clear on what's happening. He's about 420 knots, so this is his airspeed. That's his heading. That is his altitude, G's, flight path marker, velocity vector, whatever they call it. He's in sim. The thing I note is he's roughly on a heading of east, so I think by the time this resolves, it'll be headed to the south. So that's about 90 degrees, which if you're high aspect, I mean, that's still about, I mean, you really can't, I don't know. I don't think you can tell which side. But we do know this is not like an intercept or it's not something BVR. They're within visual range right now.
Yeah, this looks like can.
Yeah. So the other thing I noticed too is he's starting at 20,000 feet. Usually we don't start that high unless there's something with terrain. We have a higher floor. I mean, typically, what do you think, Gonky? 15,000, 16,000 feet?
Yeah, definitely. Usually, if it's can BFM, we start in the teens, unless, like you said, they're having to be over a mountain range or something.
Yeah, but you'll see at the end, they go below 10,000 feet. So I don't know if that's a floor bust or, they're fighting to the floor. We don't really know what the training rules were for this, but just something interesting to point out because you'll see here as he really squares that corner to try to get angles, which you'll do. I mean, if you're trying to get the lead turn, he tries to, he's pulling 6 Gs, which lends itself more towards a beam set than a butterfly, because butterfly is a little bit more gentlemanly going to the merge like that, unless you give somebody turning room. But he's pulling a whole lot of 6.5 G's right there, and he's gonna dive. I mean, he's gonna lose 8,000 feet.
Is that knots?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The only that I'm aware of, Russian aircraft and the
Yeah.
Chinese. This is all knots and feet.
Okay.
So he goes aggressively nose low. There's about 90 degrees off his heading. He's got a lock on the dude. Well, he's got a lock on something. So he checks away, and look how low he's getting. 13,000, 12,000.
Yeah, so he's got 500 knots, and he's dropped, I mean, what?
8,000 feet, yeah. 7,500 feet.
It's a mile, dude.
Yeah, he has dropped.
Right.
All right, so he gets the brake X, which tells you they're close aboard merge. The radar thinks they're going to hit each other. Release the stick tells me he's high alpha, and it looks like maybe a right-to-right pass.
Well, I think the brake X, if he had a lock, the brake X probably meant he's inside of min range.
Yeah.
I don't know the Rafale, but it looks like they're merging here.
Well, so the thing another analysis I've seen said that in French he says tally 1 right here. And
okay.
That raises my eyebrows a little bit because I've never known a reason why you would say tally 1 in a within visual range engagement that's a CAN setup unless somebody lost sight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unless somebody lost sight. And that's still the wrong comm because usually it's no joy continue, and the continue call says, hey dude, I got it that you can't see me. You better get in your no sight defense because I'm about to kick your ass. This is a free shot for me. But with language barriers and with different countries and stuff, the Raptor pilot may have said no joy, and the Rafale pilot says tally 1 to let him know. The problem, though, is he says it in French, and we can't hear any of the comm from the American, which I don't understand that either. How are we not hearing the U.S. comm? I mean,
it could. Could be the propaganda machine. I'm not saying it is, but
right. I mean, that's a little raises a question mark to me. I mean, I'm not making any excuses for anybody, but for breaking down this video and analyzing things, that raises an eyebrow because that's non-standard. None of this comm is standard at this point, especially post-merge.
That comm is related to safety of flight.
Right. So it's just weird. All right, so they get their first merge. Old boy goes up and over into him, and he is pulling. Look at that. I mean, he's pulling. I can't read the G meter, but I mean, I think he goes up to 9 at one point. Okay, can we stop for a second and say this is the worst G strain we've ever heard? I mean, this is the Frenchiest G strain I've ever heard in my entire.
Hey, at 9 Gs, if he's awake, that's all that matters.
Dude, I've pulled 9 Gs a lot, and I've never screamed like that. That is just, that's embarrassing. Yeah. I mean, to get a Raptor kill and be on tape going, ah! Sorry.
You know what you gotta do, man.
I just, ah! Oh, that's gonna trigger somebody. All right. So, dude, he like straight up pulled for everything. I think they went one circle here.
Well, he's blood off 300 knots.
I think they went one circle, and he flushed the Raptor out in front, which all again goes to the idea that the Raptor pilot may not be visual at this point.
Well, dude, more importantly is like you don't have to be blind the whole time. I mean, if you're blind, dude, for 5 seconds, I mean that's tremendous. That's a tremendous disadvantage, right? So
yeah, well, so it looks like basically in the first merge, the Rafale gets a much tighter, smaller turn radius, which tells me it's a radius fight. And then, I mean, he's offensive right here, and he could have had a shot. He could have had a Fox 2 right there. But he goes high because he's trying to slow that forward progression. So I think they're really in a one circle flow right now.
Oh,
what do you think?
He's 180 knots now. Yeah. I mean, I don't think the rate numbers for the Rafale is.
Yeah.
180 knots.
They're in a little bit of a roller here, and the Raptor reverses. So here's another shot opportunity, which the Raptor reverses tells me, again, he's not maneuvering necessarily in relation to the Bandit.
Either, I mean, there's just some gross errors, or the Raptor pilot doesn't see him.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lack of SA on the Raptor, whoever's flying the Raptor.
Because he's graping. That's not even, I mean, with the thrust to weight and the maneuverability of the F-22 at 14,000 feet, with as much altitude as he has to kind of exchange altitude for angles, he's not doing any of that. He's just, I mean, he's probably pulling 5 Gs, maybe 6 Gs.
Fox 2.
Yeah, there he calls his Fox. Do you call Fox 3 or Fox 2? I didn't hear it, but
You're either.
whatever. So he high yo-yos. He is high alpha, man. He's just trading everything in right here. All right, so now the Raptor's going downhill. He may have picked, it may be like you said, he picked him up, and now he's turning.
I mean, in this regime, the Raptor has pretty tremendous thrust to weight. And
Well, this almost tells me there's a 10,000-foot floor. Look at how he's maneuvering around this floor. Like he's trying to do a floor save right here. You know, it's almost like.
Yeah, you're right. 20 degrees nose up, 30.
Now he could also be trying to stop his forward track as the Raptor's getting angles. You know, I mean, he could be like a high yo-yo essentially. If there is a 10,000-foot floor, he just floor mortared. I mean, the Raptor's well above him.
Yeah. And he's pretty slow here, 8 knots. Pretty slow here, the Rafale. I mean, the Rafale is.
So like a Hornet. It's got the canards though. I mean, that really helps.
I mean, yeah, the Rafale. We fought the Rafale when I was in the fleet. I mean, it's a very capable airplane, no doubt.
Yeah. Did you flight the C or the M?
Oh, dude, that was 2007. Whatever the French Navy has.
That's the M. Yeah. All right, so I don't think the floor is 10,000 because he's going high to low. So I think that kills that theory, but he's in a guns whiz here. About to switch to guns. See, this is what you're talking about. This is the Raptor guy going up. I think he finally sees him. And you see he can't get his nose up there. He just can't get, he's got it, but he just can't. He can't do it. Nope.
Behind him.
He just can't. See, now it says recover. He's so slow, like he just can't. I think at that point, you know, he's transitioned. He goes, oh, there he is. Crap.
Yeah, it kind of sucks we can't hear all the real comm.
Yeah.
Because that would tell a lot. And it definitely, I mean, I don't know, the couple times that I've seen the Raptor fight, this is definitely different than what I've and the F-22 just has tremendous three-dimensional ability compared to other. So like it just doesn't make sense to me why the Rafale would chase him downhill if the Raptor guy or gal was Cali.
This looks more like what you would expect fighting an Eagle.
Yeah,
you know, something without thrust vectoring.
Yeah, it reminds me of basically a Hornet versus Hornet fight. You start up high, you end up down low.
Yeah. Okay, so he's got fuel. He just said something in French. I have no idea what he said. Copy.
Say again your last Alex.
I think he says say again your last. I think they'd already called the terminate or the knock it off at this point. Because now, watch the Raptor.
It just rolls out. Yeah, they're at 6,000 feet.
So you got your last one,
I thought the
Alex.
hard deck was probably 5 and the soft deck was 10.
Oh, you go back to. Left side, copy. Confirm operator from terminate.
But he didn't pull the trigger. So if he had a gunshot, why didn't he pull the trigger? There's
Yeah,
no-
I don't know, man. Maybe something in the French and secret or something else.
Black to Air Max 31 terminate.
English, man.
Request to
Official language.
terminate.
Request to terminate. There you go.
Yeah,
I request to terminate and to perform a
nice. Basically, in a nutshell, I see a Rafale beating a Raptor, but
Yeah.
that's not the whole story. I mean, it's clear that yes, the Raptor was in the position he shouldn't have been in for whatever reasons irrelevant. But I mean, you and I both know there's a lot more to aerial warfare than that.
There's a couple things going on here. First thing, the Rafale guy is obviously very good. I mean, there's no question that he is an expert in flying his aircraft. So kudos to him. He's doing a great job, and he's obviously, that's a capable aircraft. The part that I guess the heartburn is when you have articles full of hyperbole, like the David Axe article that says America's air superiority and air dominance is now at risk because of a simulated dogfight, which, even though the Raptor is amazing at stuff like that, that's not what it's the best at. It's still, it's an air superiority fighter.
Well, man, right? Battles are fought by men or women, and not by the Raptor is the weapon. And if you don't know what you're doing, or if it's not your day, you're not getting tallies. I mean, it's game over. I mean, if we could show the wall in our ready room, there would be like billions and billions and billions of simulated dead Raptor.
Dollars.
I mean, there's a B2 up there. I mean, there's like,
and that's the thing is, in training, we push to a higher level so that in combat, we used to talk about it's easier to fight Mike Tyson in training and then work your way down than it is to start with Mike Tyson out in the field and beat up on his kid brother in training. So you always fight for the more difficult scenarios in training, which is why you end up with a 1962 T-38 killing a $200 million airplane. That's not to say that the T-38 is better or that the Raptor is less capable. It's just to say that anytime anybody people make mistakes and anything is susceptible. So where it applies, when people ask me, they go, "Hey, mover, F-16 versus F-18." I'm like, it depends.
Right.
Dude, it depends. It depends. They're like, well, mover in an F-16 versus mover in an F-18. I go, well, it depends. Am I having a good day in one jet or not the other? Because the person that wins is the one that fights to his jet's strengths and the other jet's weaknesses.
Well, yeah, like the flanker video I posted, like a lot of guys are, I can't believe the flanker pilot made the same mistake 3 times, and he didn't make the same mistake 3 times.
Yeah.
I didn't fight my fight.
Yeah.
And he lost 3 times. Like, I mean, maneuvering to a shot is maneuvering to a shot, and it's how it is, man. When you fight somebody that's better than you in the same airplane, immediately.
Oh yeah.
Immediately, like after the first merge, it's like,
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, so when people talk about, the tournament that we're doing and stuff, and they're like, well, one aircraft's going to dominate, and I'm like, maybe, if you get a guy out there or girl that is capable in the Tomcat or capable in the Mirage or capable in the F-14, they can have a field day. It's the machine. It's magazine racing on steroids, right? The old car thing where people are like, well, my car ran a 12 1/4 mile, and you're like, have you ever been to a track yourself?
Right.
Well,
Right.
no, but car and driver did it, and it's like, okay, well, they have like a 2-second runoff or they just roll off the line. I mean, you can't, don't magazine race when it comes to this stuff. Just because a Raptor lost to a T-38 or to a Rafale does not in any way speak to the capabilities of that machine.
No, I mean, the real answer is this, like, if you just look at the engineering numbers, the Raptor is the best air-to-air fighter out there, like, period. I mean, to dispute that, I think, is just dumb. But the Germans had the Me-262, I mean, jets. Lucky for us, it's not all about the airplane.
Yeah.
I mean, Chuck Yeager shot down an Me-262, and he did it because he caught one trying to land.
Yeah.
It still counts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it depends. What are the tactics? How good are you at the tactics? Like straight up, what's your luck that day? What's the environmentals? What are the strong points of your airplane, the weak points? I mean, there's 1,000 things that go into it. And, dude, I used to see it all the time as a Navy guy. My very first large force exercise in the Hornet, there was like 12 Hornets. We all pushed out, and one F-5 got behind all of us. And like destroyed the whole strike package. I mean,
I remember that at Fallon, where we put the F-5 in the ambush cap, and it was like, pew, 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 pew.
I mean, for that guy, it's this day, right? So,
yeah.
But soul crushing for everyone else. How could this happen? It can't happen on paper.
But the thing is, so even to your point, though, when that happens, that's a good thing because it happened in training. And by happening in training, we can then go back and do the 6-hour debrief and get the lessons learned and make ourselves better, which is why we go debrief, which is why we train. I mean, you don't start out as, the best always, undefeated world champion or whatever. You have to get beat every now and then. And sometimes it's good because it gives you that little piece of humble pie and you go, oh, wow, I need to get better soon.
It makes you better.
Yeah.
And honestly, what it does, I've been lucky to fight a lot of different airframes, and it really solidifies. You got to respect every airframe out there. I mean, the other video I talked about me fighting the Hawk, and that the guy pulled him, completely floored me, almost turned the tables on me, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, like, if you got a well-trained pilot in an airplane that has weapons and could kill you, he is dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, and we've proven that, Vietnam, it's been proven with the older MiGs, they were just, the F-4, we don't even need a gun. It's going to be air-to-air missiles. And then all of a sudden, they're getting shot down by MiG-17s. You're like, what?
Yeah. How is this happening? I mean, you and I hear it all the time, and I mentioned it in my flanker video, like, people, that jet would be dead at the merge. I'm like, well, I'm smart enough to know when my radar would fail was always when I needed it the most, which would be that BVR. So guess what? There's going to be a merge.
Yeah.
So it's the airplane is just the weapon. It's built by man. It can fail, and at the end of the day, it's the operator, man. The Raptor gives you an advantage, right? I mean, you have an advantage. I mean, I've seen the Raptor fight many times. I've been on the receiving end of the Raptor gun, numerous times. And I mean, flat out, the jet's amazing. And I'm not, and probably the guys flying it were better than me. I don't know. But, all I know is I got beat. The flanker, I got beat by the flanker.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys flying it were, that their training and skill combined with their airplane were better than me and my airplane. It happens,
Right.
Through training, though, like you're talking about, you hope to raise that average that you have higher and higher. So hopefully, God forbid, you ever actually go into combat, your average is good enough to allow you to win and survive.
Yeah, and somebody made a good point too. Back in 2009 was back when the Raptor was fighting with the OBOGs problems. Yeah. So they may have had maneuvering limitations back then that didn't allow them to exploit the full potential of the aircraft.
Well, let's be honest, it was new back then, right? I mean, there's HUD footage of a Hornet gunning a Raptor,
Oh, yeah.
I remember when it first came out because I was in the fleet, and that picture made it around all the fighter squadrons, and we're like, oh, Raptor's a piece of crap. Well, dude, like any brand new weapon, it takes time to learn its abilities, to be honest. How to fight it. Is the first American thrust vectoring fighter. How does that change how we teach BFM? I mean, there's a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're just now starting to see the 1,000-hour, the 2,000-hour guys. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of time for it to mature as a community.
No, and there's so few of them. I mean, those guys. I mean, the guys. Probably your top guys in the Raptor are probably pretty eye-watering. Their skill combined with the airplane. But in the video there, I think a lot of people, maybe he was insinuating people make fun of the French and stuff. I've worked and fought with the French Navy, and dude, those guys are, anybody who's flying a fighter jet, man, is a professional in their field. And they, all fighter pilots have the drive to want to win, and most of them have the wherewithal to know it's in the training and the pilot that counts. So, I mean, those guys, I respect the French pilots as well. And this guy looks like he beat a Raptor. Good on him.
This sounds more like a PA versus PA. Like, this doesn't sound like, French fighter pilots versus American fighter pilots putting out this stuff. This sounds like non-pilot versus non-pilot saying this stuff.
Exactly, man. Because any fighter pilot knows the reality of aerial warfare.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, well, hey, Gonky, thanks for being on the channel, man. Looking forward to seeing you on the, on your channel, the Ready Room, which we can find you. I'll put a link in the description and the card and all that stuff. But also for the Fight for Honor 2020.
I'll be on there with you doing some narration. And again, I echo what Mover said. Please sign up, even if you're not a DC. If you're like me and don't have a DCS,
yeah, man.
You just make a donation.
Yeah, hell yeah. It's a good cause. It's a good time. So, all right, Gonky. Well, thanks for that. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time. Excuse me. Oh, no. Oh! Been a lot of that. Pretty quiet with the doors off. Don't be a douche. That's rule number 1. Make them tell you no.